Did I get scammed when I got a sugar glider? Hey guys, I'm Kaylin, the author of The Parrot Bliss Bond, Get to Know African Gray and Cape Parrots, Feathered Splendor, and 30 Perfect Apartment Parrots, all available on Amazon. If you know me, you know I have over 22 species of parrots. My mission is to help you have a more blissful bond with your parrot. But like so many of you, once you're into exotic animals, you love animals, and sometimes you wind up getting sugar gliders. So it's been kind of cool and interesting because within that, I'm sort of re-experiencing getting parrots for the first time and dealing with what to ask, avoiding scams, that kind of thing. So today I'm going to share with you the question, did I get scammed? The story behind that. Number two, I'm going to tell you what I saw as red flags when I avoided 4 scams. And if I remember, I'll put a link to the video where I talked about the avoiding a scam. And then I'm going to give you 3 questions that you can ask, whether you're getting a parrot or a sugar glider, that's going to help you to make sure that the seller is valid, and help you really make sure that you get the right thing. So first, did I get scammed? And here is the story of Binx. Ever so quickly, I'm so new to sugar gliders that you probably have the same experience when you're looking at a parrot or a sugar glider that I didn't know how small the sugar glider should or shouldn't be. And of course, the seller, who supposedly is the breeder, never said that the sugar glider was smaller than most normal sugar gliders. So she had said that the sugar glider was 8 weeks, but I had gotten my boys, Binx and Pistachio, Pixin and Pistachio, and they are so different. They keep themselves warm, they feed themselves, they run around at night, sleep during the day, and they're both a normal size. And she's really cute, Binx, but she's really small. She's so small that I have to keep her warm with my body heat. And so I made some little pouches to keep her in. And I have to keep trying to feed her. Look at that. She is beyond adorable, but I don't know, I don't feel like she's eating well enough today. And I'm a little concerned. So I've got some food here to try to feed her. I want to see if I can entice her to have some yogurt, or I've also got, I don't know if you could see that. Yep, a little kernel of corn in there. But so far I can't get her to take anything. So when we got her, it's like it just didn't really process. And I'm sure if this hasn't happened to you with parrots or another animal, it's probably happened to you with something else, where you get something and you think you're getting what you're supposed to get, and then you're like, something's wrong here. Something's wrong. So we were like, she's really small. And I said, and she's fully weaned. And the breeder's like, yes. And I'm like, okay. What do you do, right? Liar. You're such a liar. No, I don't know, right? I don't know. Maybe sometimes females are smaller. I had gotten boys. Maybe like people, some are smaller. I just don't know. So we bring Binx home, and we notice that she's cold, and we text the breeder and we're like, she's cold. And we looked at a weight chart. She's like the weight of a 1 or 2 week old, not of an 8 week old. So on the weight chart, she was 11 grams when we brought her home on Sunday. And the weight chart says that 11 grams is like a 1 week old, maybe a 2 week old. The 2 week olds are really 12 grams to whatever the next grouping is. And at 8 weeks, they're like 45 to 60 grams. And we're like, she's like 1/5 of the weight that she should be. And she's not keeping herself warm. She's like, oh yeah. And she's not eating. We noticed that she got cold, so we put a heating pad under her. And we're like, okay. And they're like, just give her some applesauce. We promise we're not scamming you. All of our little girls are like this. They're fine. Just be patient. She's probably adjusting to a new home. And we're like, I'm just sitting there going, I don't care how you frame this. The boys are eating on their own, and they aren't small, and we don't need to heat them. Plus, at night, they woke up and they were like, I mean, they're like beyond, the Energizer Bunny has nothing on them. They're so active and they're all over the place. Whereas she didn't really go anywhere. She did go around her cage, because initially I set up a small cage for her and I put her in the cage, and she had little pouches to sleep in and stuff. And she went around, but she found a pouch she liked, and that was it. And then she didn't come out again. I'm like, no, this isn't right. And she's cold, and so we're like, this isn't right. Something's really wrong here, because it sounds like your diet's off. You sold me a sugar glider that is either you're lying about the age, or I have found out, to the technical term, she has FTT, failure to thrive, because she's not keeping herself warm. She hasn't developed appropriately, even for a 6-week-old, and I'm having to take care of things. So I'm like, I don't trust this. I'm going to take her to my vet, because I'm really uncomfortable. This is like, the sirens are going off in my inner world, right? In my inner world, there's like 911, and the lights are going, rear, rear. And I'm like, this is wrong. And the alarm, this is wrong. Siren, this is wrong. Horn. I mean, it's just like, it doesn't matter how I look at this. It doesn't seem right. So, did I get scammed, or did I not get scammed? And you guys can tell me, but my vet's like, you tell the breeder I said she should not have sold you this sugar glider. I'm like, yeah, I know. And I said to her, if it was a bird, I would have known, and I wouldn't have accepted it. I would have been like, there's something wrong with this bird. So I'll take it for free and maybe try to take care of it, but you shouldn't be selling this. Like, something's wrong, like I would have known. But anyway, so did I get scammed, or the breeder honestly seems sincere? And she had told me before we got the sugar glider that she was going out of the country. She was like, if you can meet tomorrow, because I'm going out of the country the next day. But so now she's out of the country. I'm not getting a response. So I'm not getting any help or support from her either. Lovely. So, but she seemed really sincere. She's like, look, I'm not scamming you. Just be patient. I promise it'll all work out. So is it a scam, or is it not a scam? My vet found protozoa and budding yeast in her fecal sample. This means, and it was really strained, her fecal sample. So my vet was like, I think she's dehydrated. But, and then her poops they weren't as runny, and they don't look like the boys. So there's definitely something wrong. Protozoa, I've been told, is a parasite. The budding yeast, what that means is, in your gut, you have to have good flora, and that helps you digest your food, and it actually helps your immune system, that kind of thing. Or if you have bad flora, then you're in trouble. If you have too much bad flora, then you don't digest as well. It kind of like steals things from you, and it drains you. And so it's not a parasite, but to me, I'm like, isn't that like what a parasite is? But parasites aren't fungal, and this is fungal. So I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe they call it a fungal parasite, but you understand the picture. So my vet's like, I really don't like to give antibiotics in such a young mammal, but she's going to get diflucan, and I forgot the second one, for the protozoa and for the yeast. So we're going to treat those. And we did a Giardia test, if I'm pronouncing that right, and I'm waiting for that to come back. So I wanted you to have that story, because I wanted you to know, kind of like, hopefully you can relate with my experience and not have the experience yourself. So ever so quickly, next I promised I would talk about the scams that I think I avoided. Now, these are scams where I would not have gotten anything. I would have gotten negative money and no sugar glider, or maybe an invisible sugar glider. These were scams where the people sent pictures, and they're like, you just send half of it, half the deposit, and we'll deliver it today. That kind of thing. And there were some that were in state and one that was out of state. And ever so quickly, because like I said, I made a video on that, so I will I'll put a link to the video ever so quickly. Some of the red flags for me were when they were going to get the deposit, they wanted it to be without any seller protection, so that, like, if you sell money, you can't unsell it. You can't go to your bank or wherever you sold it from and say, oh, I got ripped off, I want a refund. Like, they, you know, that doesn't work. So they were kind of trying to make sure that I couldn't contest it at all. And another sign, red flag, was I had asked one of the breeders that was supposedly going to bring one to us, how much does the sugar glider weigh? And he's like, oh, between 45 and 60 grams. And I'm like, no, how much? You know, it's like, it isn't a range that big. When you get on the scale, it's one number. Red flag, misinformation. And, you know, and then when you're like, you know, no, I'm not sending the deposit that way. As a matter of fact, I said, you know, if you do PayPal and refund the deposit, then with seller protection, then I'll give you more. So I'll give you more cash than you wanted when I get the baby. And they're like, no, I mean, they don't even go there. So when they won't go there and address questions, that kind of thing, those are some red flags. So I hope that helps. Like, when it kind of sounds too good to be true, they're like, we have this one, it's a great price, it's a great age, and we'll deliver it. And all you have to do is send money. Then, you know, that might be a little too much. So the next important thing, whether you are getting a baby parrot, because there are, you know, I think there's just a lot of scams out there for probably any pet, but certainly exotic pets. So I hear about scams like for eggs. Last time people wanted me to include eggs. Get a parrot egg sent to you, right? But whether it's get a parrot egg, a parrot, a sugar glider, or any animal from a breeder kind of thing or a seller sent to you, you want to be really, really careful. A parrot egg, I don't know if it ever, my vet's like, I can't tell you how many people have come in telling me that they got a parrot egg in the mail and then nothing hatched, or like a chicken hatched or a duck hatched. So number one, I've never really heard of that working. Number two, even if you're that lucky, when, and you know how to incubate at the right temperature and all that, like if you can pull all of that off, then when they hatch, you need to know how to do the initial parrot milk for them. And the word's eluding me right now. And then you need to know how much to feed them, how often, and you're going to be feeding all the time. And if you don't know how to feed, you might aspirate them. I mean, it is a hassle. I can't really think of any reason why someone who doesn't have experience feeding parrots would want to get an egg. It's really, there's risk like at every step. And hopefully I'm painting a good picture of that. So when it comes to, though, getting or avoiding those scams, here are 3 questions that I think are going to help you with any exotic animal. Number 1, ask how old the exotic animal is, because they might tell you they don't know, or they might make something up. But that is a first question that, you know, one thing you can also try to do is assess the seller. And that's a question that the seller wants you to ask. If the seller wants this animal to go to a good home, they want someone that's interested. When I got some of my sugar gliders, the person said, you know, the person before you, I think they just missed them. They're like, they asked if they could put diapers on sugar gliders. So, you know, good sellers, they're looking for good questions, right? And so if you ask how old are they should be happy to give you any information. And then if they don't give you information, or they just give you something standard, you know, at least they might not help you, but at least it's a step into getting some information. And if they don't really want to answer, or they're really quick to answer and then they want to move on, those are some red flags to look for. A lot of sellers, like even if they're busy, they want them to go to a good home, and they'll still talk to you some. Number 2, a really super important question. What diet are they on? If I had asked that of Binx, we might not have Binx. I didn't think to ask it. And one reason I didn't think to ask it is because within the sugar glider community, there are these standard diets, and it's kind of interesting. They're very much, in a way, like parrots. They need fresh foods every day, just like parrots, and then they can have support pellets just like parrots. And So I kind of like, it just seems like they've got these initials, which I have not figured out. The GTP or something, the glider, something pet diet. I don't know, but like it's all standard to them, and they've got these diets that they do, and it seems like every breeder just spits out these acronyms and they know. And so I just didn't even think to ask, because I had already talked to so many breeders. And when breeders, when you're getting a little more serious, like when they really have gliders and you're getting a little more serious, they'll ask you, have you researched diet? Do you have a cage? If you want, you could send me a picture of the cage. Like they're going to ask you questions that are going to lead them to believe that you're going to be a good caretaker. So I think it's really important to have some of those conversations. Ask, what diet have they been on? What do you recommend? Because if the answers are short and like, oh, the TP whatever diet, and like there's nothing else, that might just be sort of they researched, they got some initials, they're throwing it out there. Whereas the people who really have an animal, really in my case had a pet glider, they were like, do you have any questions about the diet? And I'd be like, I don't get it. You freeze it. Do you serve it cold? And they're like, yeah. But they'll answer those questions for you. So starting the diet conversation is really important, because you also want to make sure, some breeders, they don't have their parrots on a bad diet, but they don't have their parrots on the best diet. And so they may be a little skittish, but generally speaking, it's a conversation. Like if you say, I want to take good care of this animal, what do you recommend for diet? What do you recommend for housing? Like the more questions you can come up with that are in that scheme, the better. Because again, someone who really wants this animal to go to a good home is going to answer them. And someone who's just scamming you, they're going to be like, hey man, I'm honest. Why are you asking me this? Or we had that. Like some stuff like that is like, okay, no. Question number 3, a really great question, which I did think to ask once, which is, how much does this animal weigh? If the person selling you the animal gives you the wrong measurement, in other words, if you're getting a skunk, I think they're weighed in either pounds or kilograms. Like, I don't really know, but see, that's something that if you're a skunk breeder or buyer, you would know. If you're getting a parrot, they should be giving you the number in grams. If they're giving you ounces or pounds, that's a little sketchy, like especially pounds. Like, that's only macaws are going to be a pound, and everything else is going to be under a pound. So everything is going to be like, oh, they're not even a pound, So that answer is a huge red flag. So they should be giving you a number in grams. Then you can go and look online and see for that species, what's the weight range. You can expect the weight to be on the lower end because they're young, and like us humans, teenagers tend to be thinner than when we're 30, 40, 50 years old, that kind of thing. Like teenagers tend to still be skinnier, and so the younger birds or sugar gliders, they might be on more of the like lighter side, but if they give you a crazy number or a range, you're like, okay, that's a red flag. So those are some things to help you spark the conversation. And I've given you 3 questions: how old, what diet conversations, and how much does the animal weigh. Really good questions that someone can invent the answer to, but if they're not conversing with you more about it, there's a problem. Now, here's another thing that my daughter and I came up with that we really like, because I think it really helps. We suspect that when someone's pulling a scam, they steal pictures from wherever, I don't know, the internet, whatever, some other breeder, and they use those pictures. Actually, now that I think about it, my mentor said, I've seen him say, someone stole my pictures. Look to see if it's not my account, it's not right. And so, look to see that they have social media, because the scammers often didn't have social media. Like, they might have one Facebook page and it's private, but they don't have like an Instagram, a public page on Facebook, maybe a YouTube or TikTok. They weren't public, they were really private. So look for that public social. But the other thing that's really, really good, ask for pictures of them with the animal you're getting, and if they have it, some others. Say, I might be interested in some others, or I'd like to see what else you have. Can I see a photo or a video? Because now you have to see that they physically have it. And I can't imagine that they're going to doctor it in Photoshop. Maybe they will. What are you going to do? But if someone's taking, you know, who's going to take that much time, right? They're going to go on to the next person who's just going to send them money, I think. So ask for a picture. I also like this because you might have initially seen a picture somewhere. They might have even sent you an initial picture. But when you ask for another picture, especially if it's like the next day or something like that, it lets you get a better view. Because sometimes they'll hold an animal like at a certain view or it's a certain angle and you can't fully see. A video is even better because now you're going to see how active they are. You're going to see a little bit, hopefully, of their environment in motion. You're going to see a little bit of the animal like moving around. You can kind of see how aware they are. You can look to see some of my pointers that you look for health. If there's snot, right? I mean, that's true for any animal. If there's like liquid or red eyes or like droopy eyes, if they're, you know, if the ears are kind of down and if the animal's down, if a bird, if their wings are kind of dropped and they're fluffed up and they're, you know, versus babies are always like, what's going on? So I really like the photo or a video. A small video is even better because then you kind of get a far more better idea of, number one, they really have this animal. Number two, oh, that animal looks from the video or whatever, it looks like it's in good health. Like it looks aware, it looks like a good deal. So let me know if you think I got scammed below. Hopefully, well, I have. I got some footage for you. I got footage of our boys and also of our other pair. Oh, I'm enthralled. I'm really enjoying my sugar gliders. It doesn't mean I don't still love and adore my parrots. If you guys know me, if you're familiar with my channel, I have over 22 species and I love my parrots. But I am having to nurse this little sugar glider. I did not want to have to do something like that. You know, I was supposed to get a healthy baby, so I'm pretty unhappy. I am asking for a refund or at least a partial refund, and we'll see whether or not that happens. But in any case, I'm going to do everything I can to take care of her. My daughter really wanted this one, and so we got her. And you know, she saw pictures and she was like, "Oh, that one, that's the one." So hopefully she'll do well. She came home at 11 grams and today she's 14 grams, which I'm really happy about. But I would feel better if she was eating today. I don't know if her body's like taking a day to digest. That could be. Now that I remember, when my daughter was a baby, it was kind of like that. Sometimes they were like, eat. And then sometimes they kind of didn't eat as much. And I think it's almost like the body was taking it and using it. So hopefully she's in that kind of place. Hopefully my vet took care of stuff. And you know, Giardia or not, hopefully it all works out. If you have enjoyed this video of footage, because I couldn't get a bird to come with me, and my little Binx or our little Binx, who you got to see a little bit, and I'm sure you saw some video there too, please be sure to give us one of these. If you haven't already, please subscribe and check out my links below. I have breeders that I now know and trust for sugar gliders. I have I'm going to start to add for you some parrot breeders that I know and trust and a store that I know and trust, so that hopefully if you're looking for a parrot or a sugar glider, if they'll ship to you, the sugar, you know, it kind of depends. You just have to talk to them and find out if they ship. Then, and most of them will, then hopefully if you get one, you're going to get one and it'll be happy and healthy. And if not, you can let me know about it, because then I will talk to that breeder and I will take them off my recommendation list. All right, guys, thanks for sticking with me. If you stuck with me this far, I will catch you in the next feathered video, or fluffy.